A week or so ago, I realized that something strange had happened. I only had 2 clients in that week, 2 client meetings in that week. And instead of feeling guilty or worried about it, I found myself sitting in a cafe overlooking my favorite lake just a few miles away from my home, with complete clarity washing over me about the direction from my business that I was moving in. My name's Hodges. I'm the author of Simplify the Funnel, and I'm trying to birth something called the Simplify Life, which is all about how we take our business, our marketing, our lifestyle, and our faith, and we simplify things so that we can enjoy the success that we define on our own terms, rather than getting lost in the cult of hustle and complexity. I've been running flat out, back-to-back calls, juggling agency clients, racing between strategy sessions, and living in a constant state of productive panic, which is the only way I could describe it. And it's that state that I believe most business owners and creators somehow convince themselves that that's their definition of success. But there I was at the Gateway Cafe in the Cotswolds, notebook open, scribbling thoughts for one of my newsletters, coffee getting cold because I was so engrossed in my writing, and then realizing that I only had those 2 meetings, but it wasn't a problem that I needed to fix. It was ultimately the solution that I've been searching for years and trying to engineer, which got me thinking about how backwards we've got everything. You know, now that I'm outside of agency work, I can see the trap, and I can see that trap so clearly that I was stuck in. Everything that I wanted in terms of my definition of success, it was defined by other people. You see, being trapped in this cult of complexity and hustle that is preached by every bro marketer and most gurus that we all look up to, my definition of success had become masked by the definition that they were putting on me. You know, the whole notion of grow your 7-figure business or make 10 million on your next launch. I sat there reflecting that there were a few things that really held me back more than anything. You know, every business owner I talk to always says the same thing. I'm maxed out. I can't take any more clients without hiring. I'm already working 60 hours a week. I was kind of like that. And those constraints that I was suffering with were all about time or resources. They weren't about the business model itself. It's not just me saying this. In her book, Why Simple Wins, Lisa Bodell identifies the exact patterns that keep business owners stuck. She says that we've created cultures where complexity is mistaken for value and where being busy is confused with being productive. Some of her research showed that most leaders spend their day managing their calendars instead of leading their business. You know, if you're a business owner or a creator, being a coach, a trainer, or a consultant, where you're trading time for money, you can only ever serve the lucky few who make it onto your calendar. And it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how much value you create. It doesn't matter how many people you need in your business to hear what you know. Your impact is always going to be capped at the number of hours in your day. Now, stupidly, I knew this for years. I'd read all the books, nodded along at all the conferences when speakers talked about scaling through systems. But it wasn't until now, with only 2 meetings in my calendar this week, that real cost hit me. Not the financial cost, but the human cost. All those business owners I couldn't help because my agency was full. All those entrepreneurs drowning in complexity because I didn't have space on my calendar to talk to them. And all of those people who needed to simplify and scale, but couldn't access what I knew because I was stuck in the wrong business model. That was all on me. This is why my pivot from agency owner to consultant and author and content creator is all about re-engineering the model of my business. It's about the thousands of people I know I can now serve instead of just the dozens. My pivot started in 2023, but this time sat at the lake. It crystallized into something real. Instead of adding more team members, more services, more complexity to handle more clients. I just needed to continue to subtract from all of that, but I needed to create more content. I needed to show up. I needed to be more visible. So when planning my content, marketing, offers for the next season of campaigns, instead of asking, how can I serve more clients? I now ask, how can I serve more people? There's a big difference between these two statements. The agency model says that growth is equal to more account managers, more project managers, more overhead, more chaos, more clients. Every new client means more complexity, and every bit of growth makes the machine harder to run. But the coach, consultant, content creator model, that's different. As an author and as a speaker and building a community, I can have impact to a much wider reach. One framework can help hundreds. One system could transform thousands. One piece of clarity properly packaged and delivered as content could ripple out far beyond any agency could ever achieve. So that week where I just had 2 meetings, I had time to think about this properly. Not in the stolen moments away from calls or having to stay a little bit later at my desk and not go for dinner with my kids. Not in the exhausted brain fog after a 12-hour day, but ultimately with real clarity. And here's what became obvious. When you simplify your business model, you don't just simplify your operations, you amplify your impact. Think about it. Right now, there are millions of business owners, coaches, creators, experts, and authors who are drowning in the same complexity that nearly killed me and my business. They're probably using 50 different tools, running 15 different funnels, following 23 different gurus, and they're exhausted. The numbers back this up. A report from SIT found that employees in businesses lose hours every week just switching between platforms, with many people struggling with what they call tool overload. The entrepreneur is no different. The reality is that most businesses are only using a fraction of what they're paying for. Businesses today, we don't need more tools. And we don't need another agency to manage the chaos. We don't need another training product or program or bro marketer telling us to implement a million things. What we need to do is we need to eliminate some stuff that's causing the friction and holding us back. This is the call I'm responding to. And I'd love to invite you into doing something with me. Every Sunday, I'm going to send you a newsletter, free newsletter. Just go to antshodges.com. Sign up to my free Sunday newsletter. This is not to add to your reading list just for the sake of reading. It's not to give you more theory to consume, but it's to do 2 things: to help you simplify and scale, hence the name. That week, starting at the lake, for me, with an unusual level of clarity, I learned that complexity is a choice, and it's one we can stop making. Starting today, take these 3 steps. Number 1, audit your calendar. Look at the next week's calendar. Count the meetings that directly generate revenue or directly serve customers. Everything else, question it. Step 2, find your 2. Identify the 2 activities that create 80% of your results. Yes, everyone loves an 80-20 rule. Not 10, not 5, just 2. Write them on a sticky note and put them on your monitor. If 2 activities during the course of your week create most of your success, do the other things really matter? And then step 3, I want you to cancel something. This week, cancel 1 recurring commitment that adds complexity without adding value. That weekly catch up with a client, that potentially achieves nothing every now and again. Could you switch that to a monthly and communicate in a different way? That community membership that you never contribute to, but you keep paying for. That project that's been almost done for months. And maybe the software that you pay for that never gets used. Cancel something. Here's what I want you to remember. The pivot that I made from serving dozens of agency clients to serving thousands as a coach, author, and consultant now, it's not about me building a bigger business. It's about demonstrating 3 important things. that you can achieve more by doing less, that simplicity scales better than complexity ever could, and the path forward isn't about adding more, it's about subtracting everything that doesn't matter. In the end, business is just humans helping humans. And the simpler we can make it, the more humans we can help. So find your version of my lake. Block out time in your calendar and sit there for an hour. Grab a notebook and a pen and ask yourself, what would my business look like if I could only do 2 things? Then write down all of your thoughts. Start building that business. Let me know how it goes. Message me over on Instagram at Hodges. If you're watching here on YouTube, then leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel as well so you don't miss anything. If you're listening on the podcast, then please do drop me a review, a rating. Let me know your thoughts. My mission is to keep it simple. That's what I'm here for. If you want to learn more about the things that I talk about, then go over to anthodges.com. You can subscribe to my weekly newsletter. There's also a link where you can grab a copy of my book, Simplify the Funnel, or you can go over to Amazon where Kindle and paperback is available. Simple wins, as Lisa Bodell says. You know, I think my book, Lisa's book, they're both essential for reading if you want to look at how you can remove complexity. But it's only going to take one step forward today for you to be on that journey of simplification. Will you join me on it? Hope so. Let's escape the cult of complexity and hustle once and for all, and let's define for ourselves the simple life. I've been Ant Hodges. I'll speak to you next time. Bye for now.